You've probably been there before, sitting across from her, wondering if the way she laughs at your jokes means more than just friendliness, or if you're imagining things. Maybe she lingers a little too long when she looks at you. Maybe her voice softens when she says your name, and for a second your heart tells you she feels it too. But then just as quickly she pulls back. A wall goes up. She changes the subject, avoids eye contact, or hides behind that smile that gives you nothing, and suddenly you're left second-guessing everything. If this is you, you know how exhausting it is to live in that constant state of does she or doesn't she. One moment you feel sure she's into you, the next, you feel foolish for even thinking it. Maybe this feels familiar. You replay conversations in your head, dissecting every word, every glance, every laugh, searching for hidden meaning, searching for proof, and yet the more you analyze, the more confused you feel. You tell yourself, if she liked me, she'd just say it, right? But deep down, you also know that people don't always make it that easy, especially women. Sometimes the very woman who wants you the most is also the one doing everything in her power to hide it. And that leaves you in limbo, stuck between hope and doubt, attraction and frustration. It messes with your confidence. You start questioning not just her feelings but your own judgment. You wonder if you're blind to the truth or if the truth is hiding in plain sight and you just don't know how to read it. Maybe you've even pulled back yourself, scared of looking desperate, scared of ruining what little connection you think you have, and yet the thought won't leave you. What if she actually does like me but she's just trying not to show it? What if I'm missing the signs? Because let's be real, few things cut deeper than realizing too late that someone wanted you all along and you just didn't see it. You don't want to look back one day and regret the chances you never took, the signals you ignored, the moments that could have been more. So here's the question burning in your mind, the one that keeps you up at night, the one you've never had a clear answer to. How do you know when a woman likes you but is fighting to hide it? Most men misread women not because they're stupid, but because they're impatient. They want clarity, certainty, and an obvious signal that removes all doubt. But the truth is, women rarely give it that directly, and if you expect them to, you'll always feel like you're walking blind. This is where most men trip themselves up. They demand the world be black and white, when attraction often lives in the gray. Here's the hard reality. Women are not going to walk up to you and spell it out. They're not going to look you in the eyes and say, I like you, but I'm trying to hide it. Instead, they'll send breadcrumbs, subtle cues, micro moments where their heart leaks out before their mind pulls it back in. If you don't have the patience to notice or the calmness to let things unfold, you'll miss it every single time. This is why so many men misinterpret friendliness as attraction or attraction as indifference. They're reading through the lens of insecurity instead of grounded awareness. If you're constantly doubting yourself, you'll either chase too hard when she was never interested or back away too soon when she actually was. Both come from the same mistake, needing her to make it easy. A man grounded in calm authority doesn't need it easy. He doesn't panic in the gray. He doesn't look for instant validation. He knows that her hesitation, her mixed signals, her subtle pullbacks aren't necessarily rejection. Sometimes they're her way of testing the waters, of seeing if he can handle her without flinching, without losing himself. And this is where the difference between the average guy and the grounded man shows. The average guy either explodes with emotion, confessing too soon, pressing for answers, trying to make her admit it, or collapses into silence, convincing himself she's not interested. But the grounded man lives by a different principle. Don't rush the truth. He understands that attraction is revealed over time, not forced in a moment. And the more patient he is, the clearer her behavior becomes. Here's another principle most men overlook. A woman who likes you and tries not to show it is still revealing herself, just in ways most men aren't trained to see. She'll avoid eye contact but then sneak glances when she thinks you're not looking. She'll keep conversations casual, but her energy will linger like she doesn't want them to end. She may even tease you or act indifferent, but you'll notice that her guard only comes up around you, not everyone else. These aren't contradictions. They're signs of conflict. the conflict between her desire and her fear of exposing it. And if you're calm enough to recognize that, you'll stop getting frustrated and start reading the truth beneath the surface. What most men fail to realize is that the real test isn't whether she shows her feelings, it's whether you can remain steady while she hides them. That steadiness is attractive in itself, because if you lose yourself in guessing games, you're proving you're not ready to lead. But when you can sit back, observe, and let her signals come to you, you're showing her that you're already the man she secretly wants. Think of it this way, women often want to be chosen, not chased. And being chosen requires that you see beyond what's obvious. It requires that you don't need her to shout her feelings from the rooftop in order to feel confident in yourself. Confidence means you can read between the lines without doubting your own worth. So instead of asking, does she like me or not, start asking, am I calm enough to let her show me in her own time? That shift changes everything. Because once you stop needing her confirmation, you'll start noticing her contradictions for what they really are. Quiet confessions wrapped in hesitation. And here's the deeper truth. Women hide their feelings not just out of fear, but out of instinct. They want to see if you're man enough to sense the subtlety. They want to know if you're strong enough to catch the quiet signs without pushing, without breaking the tension. Because if you can't sit in that space without losing yourself, you won't be able to handle her heart once she finally opens it. That's why most men get this wrong. They want a neon sign that says she likes you. But what they should be developing is a masculine calmness that sees what others overlook, and patience that allows attraction to ripen instead of rushing to harvest it. So remember this, a woman who likes you and tries not to show it isn't your enemy, and she isn't playing games the way you think. She's simply waiting to see if you can handle the silence between the signals. And if you can, that's when everything she's been hiding begins to reveal itself. You're sitting at a table in a crowded cafe, the low hum of conversation wrapping around you like static. Cups clink, steam hisses from the espresso machine, and across from you she's there, the woman you've been trying to figure out. Her hair catches the light every time she moves, and the way she tucks a loose strand behind her ear feels like it shouldn't matter, but it does. You're laughing at something small, something meaningless, and for a second you swear her eyes soften in a way they don't for anyone else. It's fleeting, like the flicker of a candle before the wind catches it, but you see it. You feel it, and then almost instantly she looks away, pretending to check her phone, pretending nothing happened. That's when the silence creeps in, not the silence of no words, but the silence of everything unsaid. You sip your coffee trying to act normal, but inside your head the questions won't stop. Did she just give herself away? Or am I seeing what I want to see? She shifts in her seat. Her foot brushes yours under the table, quick, almost accidental. But you notice the hesitation in the way she pulls it back. Like maybe she meant it, maybe she didn't. Her voice carries that same tension. She'll laugh a little louder at your jokes, but then quickly bury her smile in the rim of her cup. She'll ask about your weekend, but the second your eyes lock, she diverts, as if the weight of what she's feeling is too heavy to hold. It's in the contradictions. That's what eats at you. The way her body leans in, when her words push away. The way her eyes linger a heartbeat too long before darting off to safer ground. She's there with you fully until she isn't. It's like she's trying to build a wall and tear it down at the same time. And you sit there, caught in it. Every glance, every pause, every shift of her hands feels like a code you're supposed to crack. Part of you wants to lean in and test it, to push past her hesitation and see what's really hiding there. But another part of you freezes, afraid that if you read it wrong, you'll break something fragile, something that's barely begun. So you stay still, you watch, you listen, you feel the unspoken pull in the air, that current that tugs at you even when neither of you says a word. Later, when you're walking side by side toward your cars, the night air cooler than you expected, you notice how close her hand is to yours. Close enough that if you moved an inch, you brush against it. She doesn't pull away, she doesn't close the gap either. And in that sliver of space between you, everything you've been wondering lives. Her feelings, your doubts, the possibility of something more. Her words are casual as she says goodnight, but her voice trembles just slightly on your name. She gives a small wave, a smile that looks like it's holding something back, and then she turns, slipping into her car, leaving you with headlights fading into the distance. You stand there longer than you should, replaying it all in your head. The looks, the laughter, the subtle pull, the subtle push, and the thought won't leave you. She's hiding something, she feels it too, but she won't let it show. It's confusing, it's frustrating, but it's also intoxicating because somewhere deep down you know what it means. A woman doesn't fight to hide what isn't there. She only hides what she's afraid to lose. And as you finally walk back to your own car, one question hangs in your chest like a secret you can't ignore. What if the signs were never meant to be obvious? What if they were always meant to be felt, not seen? Most men carry around a set of false beliefs that quietly sabotage them whenever they try to understand women. They don't even realize it. These beliefs aren't just about women, they're about themselves, about how they think attraction should look, about what they've been conditioned to expect. And the truth is, unless you strip these away, you'll always feel like you're stumbling in the dark, misreading signs, second-guessing every move. The first false belief is this: if a woman likes me, she'll make it obvious. It sounds logical. If she wants you, why wouldn't she just show it? Why wouldn't she lean all the way in, smile brighter, stay longer, and give you crystal clear signals? But reality is far messier than that. Many women feel just as nervous as you do. They fear rejection, they fear losing control. Sometimes they even fear their own feelings. So instead of making it obvious, they hide behind half smiles, stolen glances, and carefully timed silences. Not because they don't feel it, but because they do. Think about it. If she wasn't interested at all, she wouldn't bother covering it up. She wouldn't care enough to hold back. But the very act of holding back, of restraining, means something is alive underneath. Attraction is rarely clean and obvious. It's messy, conflicted, layered. Expecting clarity from her at the very beginning is like demanding fruit from a seed you just planted. The grounded man doesn't panic when it isn't obvious. He trusts his patience more than his impulse. Here sets a line to remember. If she hides her feelings, it doesn't mean she's so empty, it means her heart is louder than her courage. The second false belief is this: if she pulls away, it means I should pull away too. This belief is built on fear, not wisdom. Yes, sometimes when a woman pulls away, it means she isn't interested, but not always. Often it's the opposite. She feels too much, too soon, and it scares her. So she retreats into herself. She creates distance to regain balance. If you interpret every retreat as rejection, you'll miss the fact that she was simply overwhelmed by what she felt for you. This doesn't mean you chase her. It doesn't mean you smother her or demand answers. It means you stay steady. You don't crumble. You don't collapse into overthinking. You let her pull back without making it about your worth. Because the truth is, the steadiness you show during her retreat is the very thing that reassures her she can come closer again. She didn't ghost you, you disappeared from yourself. That's the painful truth. It's not her silence that breaks men. It's the way men lose their center in the silence. A man who knows himself can handle space. A man who doesn't will rush to fill it with panic, texts, or withdrawal. And that's when she senses he's not grounded enough to hold her real emotions. The third false belief is this: if she likes me, she won't test me. Men hate this one because it feels unfair. Why would a woman test you if she's attracted to you? Shouldn't attraction make things easy? But here's the reality. A woman tests you not to play games, but to reveal truth. She wants to see if your confidence is surface level or rooted deep. She wants to know if you crumble under pressure or if you can remain calm in uncertainty. Testing isn't cruelty. It's instinct. A woman who likes you but hides it will often test you the hardest. She'll act indifferent, tease, delay, or create mixed signals, not because she doesn't want you, but because she wants to know if you can see through the fog without losing yourself. If you fold every time, she'll know you're not the man who can lead her into something real, but if you stay calm, consistent, and steady in the face of mixed signals, she'll feel safer dropping the act and showing her true feelings. Remember this: She tests not to push you away, but to see if you're strong enough to stay. So what do these false beliefs all have in common? They're built on the need for certainty, on the idea that you need her to make it clear so you can finally relax. But the truth is, masculine strength isn't about needing certainty. It's about providing it. When you stop demanding her signals be easy, when you stop crumbling every time she retreats, when you stop fearing her tests, you begin to embody the very certainty she's searching for. Here's what you have to understand. A woman who likes you but hides it is not your enemy. She's not playing games the way insecure men imagine. She's simply caught in the same tension you are, wanting to be seen but afraid of being exposed. And if you can remain calm enough, patient enough, strong enough to hold that tension without breaking, you give her the space she needs to finally let her guard down. That's what most men miss. They think signs should be bold, obvious, neon lights pointing the way. But attraction isn't like that. It's whispers, it's contradictions, it's subtle pushes and pulls. The man who listens instead of demanding, the man who stands firm instead of collapsing, that's the man who eventually sees the truth hidden beneath it all. Because in the end, she may never come right out and say, I like you, I've been hiding it this whole time. But you'll feel it in the pauses, in the slips, in the way her actions betray her words. And when you do, you'll realize it was never about the signs themselves. It was about becoming the man who could see them. The difference between the average man and the 1% headman isn't that he never feels confused. He notices the same mixed signals, the same contradictions, the same moments of silence where a woman's true feelings hide. The difference is how he responds. Where most men get trapped in doubt or push for answers, the headman leans back into presence. He knows that clarity isn't something you demand from her, it's something you create within yourself. This is what he understands. A woman who likes you but hides it isn't denying you, she's protecting herself. She's measuring whether you are steady enough to handle her uncertainty, her fear, her hesitation. The average man takes that as rejection. The headman takes it as proof that the moment requires patience, not panic. This is how he leads, with presence, not pressure. He doesn't lean forward with questions. Do you like me? Are you interested? He doesn't rush to fill every silence with nervous energy. Instead, he allows the silence to speak. He knows that attraction often lives in the unspoken, and by staying calm in it, he shows her he is safe to reveal herself to. The 1% headman mindset is not about decoding every glance or playing detective with her words. It's about holding himself so firmly that he doesn't need the answer immediately. He doesn't lose his center if she avoids eye contact. He doesn't spiral if she pulls back for a day. He doesn't take her hesitations as evidence of his inadequacy. Instead, he trusts that if there is truth there, it will surface in its own time. This is what he understands. Attraction isn't proven in how obvious she is, it's revealed in how consistent you are. Most men crave certainty because they're scared of missteps. The headman knows that missteps aren't the danger. Losing yourself is. That's why he remains calm, grounded, steady in his actions. He leads not by chasing her feelings, but by anchoring his own. And this is how he carries himself, as if he is already enough. He doesn't need her hidden signals to validate him. He doesn't measure his worth by whether she admits her feelings. He knows who he is before she confirms it. That's why when she gives those fleeting signs, the quick glance, the half smile, the hesitation, he doesn't explode with neediness or collapse into doubt. He receives it quietly, as a man who knows his presence speaks louder than her attempts to hide. The headman mindset flips the script. Most men wait on her behavior to tell them how to feel. The headman lets his state of being set the tone for how she feels around him. He is the anchor, she is the sail. He knows the wind will change direction, but the anchor remains. That steadiness is what allows her to trust him, to eventually lower her guard and stop hiding. This is what he understands. You don't win her trust by demanding it. You win it by showing that you can hold her contradictions without breaking. She wants to know if you can handle her subtle yes and no dance without losing your cool. She wants to know if you can stand in the storm of her uncertainty and still radiate calm. That's not tactics, that's presence. And this is how he leads, with patience, with self-respect, with calm energy that makes her feel safer the longer she's around him. He doesn't try to prove himself to her, he lets her discover him. He doesn't chase after the signs, he allows her to reveal them at her own pace. He doesn't fear her tests, he welcomes them as opportunities to show her that his confidence isn't fragile. The headman knows the truth. Women are drawn to the man who doesn't flinch, the man who doesn't beg for clarity, the man who can sit across from her, feel her guard, notice her subtle betrayals of emotion, and still smile, not because he needs the answer today, but because he trusts himself to lead tomorrow. This is the shift. Stop asking, does she like me? Start asking, am I leading with presence or with pressure? Because when you lead with pressure, you force her walls higher. But when you lead with presence, her walls begin to crumble on their own. And when they do, you'll see what most men never get to see: the truth she's been hiding, revealed not because you demanded it, but because you were strong enough to wait for it. There's a moment in every man's life when he finally sees it, not in her eyes, not in her actions, but in himself. Maybe for you, it comes late at night when you're lying there replaying every little thing she did, the way she laughed, the way she looked away, the way she seemed to pull close and then retreat. You've spent so many hours in that loop trying to crack a code that was never meant to be cracked, and then it hits you. All this time, you weren't really asking, does she like me? You were asking, am I enough? Every glance, every pause, every silence you've dissected has been less about her and more about the fear living in you, that without her confirmation, without her giving you permission, you can't trust yourself. But in that moment of clarity, everything shifts. You remember something you had forgotten. Your worth doesn't tremble in the hands of her hidden signals. It never has. It was always yours, before she walked into the room, before she smiled, before she looked away. You realize that waiting for her to drop the mask, waiting for her to confess, waiting for her to make it easy, has been a way of postponing your own strength. Because a man who knows his value doesn't live on borrowed signs. He doesn't beg for certainty from someone who's still wrestling with her own. He walks with certainty because he carries it inside. And in that moment, you feel it, the calm that comes when you stop chasing answers outside of yourself. The power that comes when you no longer need to read her contradictions like scripture, when you no longer measure your worth by how clearly she reveals hers. You see her hesitation differently now, not as rejection, not as a threat, but as proof that she is human, that she is afraid, that she is testing whether you can be the man who stands still while her emotions swirl, and you realize you can, not by force, not by tactics, simply by being who you are, fully, without apology. That realization is quiet, but it sits life-altering. It sits the turning point where the question shifts. No longer does she like me, but am I living as the man I know I am? No longer will she show me her heart, but am I steady enough to let her reveal it when she sits ready? You stop waiting, you stop chasing clarity like it's oxygen. You start remembering that your presence is already enough, that your patience is power, that your calm is the very thing that draws her closer. And in that moment, something inside you awakens. You realize you were never supposed to decode her like a puzzle. You were meant to stand as a man, unshaken, until her walls decide they can finally fall. You've been replaying the signs, chasing clarity in the way she laughs, the way she looks away, the way her words don't always match her eyes. You've been stuck in that tension between hope and doubt, wondering if you're blind to the truth, or if she's hiding it right in front of you. But now you see it differently. It was never about unlocking some secret code inside her behavior. It was about remembering the strength inside yourself. Because the man who waits for her to make it obvious will always live in uncertainty. But the man who stands calm, steady, and rooted in his own worth doesn't need her to spell it out. He doesn't panic when she hides, and he doesn't collapse when she retreats. He knows that her hesitation isn't proof of his inadequacy, it's proof of her own vulnerability. The signs are real, but they were never meant to give you confidence. They were meant to reveal whether you already had it. And when you realize that, you stop living for the clarity she withholds, and you start living from the certainty you already carry. Because at the end of the day, the truth isn't in her smile or her silence. The truth is in how you stand when neither gives you the answer. A woman may try to hide her feelings, but no woman can hide forever from a man who no longer hides from himself.